The moment JD Vance said, "It's a huge mistake for the world's wealthiest man to go to war with the world's most powerful man," he wasn't just defending Trump. He was making a calculated move. But what's even more shocking is how Trump reacted. Instead of praising his vice president pick, Trump has started subtly sidelining Vance in key speeches, avoiding mention of him during major campaign events, and even leaning into his solo spotlight during MAGA rallies. This isn't just a difference in style, it's a silent shakeup inside Trump's inner circle. And if you think JD Vance didn't notice, think again. Behind closed doors, sources say Vance has grown increasingly aware that Trump's praise is strategic, not personal, and that the loyalty he's shown may not be returned when it matters most. That wasn't a warning to Elon Musk. It was a signal to the entire MAGA base. But what happens when the man defending Trump starts getting sidelined by Trump himself? This isn't loyalty anymore. It's a silent power struggle inside the campaign, and JD Vance might be the first to feel it. What we're watching is the earliest sign of a power split inside the MAGA movement, and it's coming from the top down. It started as a perfect fit. Vance, the best-selling author turned senator with Midwest credibility, became Trump's surprise VP pick, seemingly locking down Rust Belt loyalty. But over the past few weeks, small moments have hinted at something deeper. In Ohio, during a major rally, Trump spent more time attacking Elon Musk than introducing his own running mate. And when asked by reporters about Vance's role in foreign policy decisions, Trump waved it off, saying, "I'll handle that stuff, like always." That line hit hard, not just for Vance, but for his supporters. Why elevate someone just to ignore them? Some insiders claim it's about control. Trump, never comfortable sharing the spotlight, may be feeling the pressure of rising stars within his own movement. And JD Vance, educated, polished, and increasingly vocal, might be stepping into that spotlight too fast. And it gets even more interesting. Vance has been publicly clashing with figures like Lindsey Graham over Ukraine aid, while Trump's been trying to court a broader Republican base. Their strategies don't always align, and that's creating friction. While Vance is pushing a "No More Wars, America First" line, Trump is toying with traditional GOP rhetoric again, especially on China and the economy. If this continues, MAGA voters could be forced to choose between Trump's style and Vance's substance. That's a dangerous divide in an election year, and no one, not even Trump, can afford a crack in the foundation right now. Trump has never liked sharing power, and history proves it. Remember Mike Pence? Once praised as incredible and loyal, Pence was later cast out for refusing to back Trump's January 6th narrative. Now, with JD Vance, we're seeing early signs of that same pattern. It starts with subtle omissions, Trump skipping his VP's name during rally introductions, keeping the spotlight squarely on himself. But this week, things escalated. During a private fundraiser in Palm Beach, Trump reportedly dismissed questions about Vance's economic ideas, joking, "He's still learning the art of the deal." That wasn't just a jab, it was a message. Vance, who built his career criticizing the elite and praising Trump's populism, is now finding himself in the awkward position of being treated like an apprentice, not a partner. And for someone with national ambitions, that's dangerous territory. Because while Vance may play loyalist in front of cameras, behind the scenes, there's growing talk that he's already preparing for life after Trump, and maybe even positioning himself as the true heir to MAGA's throne. And it makes sense. Vance has carefully cultivated an image that blends Trump-style nationalism with Ivy League polish. Unlike most MAGA figures, he doesn't just rant, he debates. He doesn't just post, he legislates. That makes him more dangerous to Trump than any Democrat. Because when your own vice president can articulate your message better than you can, without the baggage, it forces voters to ask, do we still need the original, or is the new version more effective? Trump built a brand on dominance and unpredictability. But Vance is playing a longer game, one where strategic restraint and quiet positioning could outlast Trump's media cycles. The fact that Vance is still echoing support for Trump in public while subtly carving his own path says a lot. He's not trying to win now. He's trying to be the last man standing when Trump eventually steps aside. That's not loyalty, that's leverage. JD Vance's rise wasn't an accident, it was a strategy. Trump picked him not just to energize voters in battleground states like Ohio, but to keep control over a movement that's getting harder to manage. But what Trump didn't anticipate is how quickly Vance would grow into the role. In the past month alone, Vance has appeared on major conservative podcasts, clashed with establishment Republicans over foreign policy, and even teased policy ideas that differ from Trump's own positions. This isn't rebellion, it's quiet independence. The problem for Trump is that MAGA voters are starting to notice. Some even prefer Vance's more polished, thoughtful style. He doesn't yell, he explains. He doesn't insult, he dismantles. That shift in tone is winning over younger conservatives, libertarians, and frustrated independents. And for Trump, who built his dominance on energy and outrage, that shift represents a serious threat. Because if voters start seeing Vance as the smarter, more stable version of Trump without the chaos, then loyalty becomes a liability, not an advantage. And that's exactly where things get dangerous for the campaign. Trump is a master at controlling media cycles, but Vance is a master at playing the long game. He's not in a rush to outshine Trump. He's waiting for Trump to create his own downfall. Whether it's legal trouble, media backlash, or campaign fatigue, Vance knows all he has to do is stay close enough to remain visible, but distant enough to remain untouchable. That's why every time Trump sidesteps a question about Vance or mocks his policy knowledge, Vance stays silent. Not because he's weak, but because he's watching, waiting. And when the moment comes, whether it's before or after the election, he'll be the one with credibility, experience, and clean hands. That's not a sidekick. That's a shadow president in the making. What makes this internal tension even more compelling is how quietly it's unfolding. There's no public brawl, no dramatic fallout, just carefully measured distance. Trump still tweets out praise for Vance when it's politically convenient, but behind the scenes, he's doubling down on solo appearances, limiting Vance's visibility at key rallies, and reportedly overruling some of his VP's suggestions on campaign messaging. It's subtle, but it's calculated. And Vance, for his part, isn't pushing back, not yet. He understands that publicly challenging Trump would fracture the movement. But if he waits too long, he risks becoming irrelevant, just another placeholder like Mike Pence, who fell from grace the moment he stopped echoing Trump's exact words. That's the balancing act, loyalty without becoming disposable. And right now, Trump is testing just how far that loyalty can stretch without breaking. If Vance stays too quiet, he fades. If he speaks out too soon, he risks being replaced by someone more obedient, and that risk is real. Rumors have already begun circulating inside MAGA circles that Trump could reshuffle his VP pick if things get too messy, especially if legal challenges intensify and he needs someone more media combative by his side. Vance's calm, intellectual persona might not be enough when Trump wants a brawler. But here's the twist. Vance may not even want to ride this ticket to the finish line. Some strategists believe he accepted the VP role not to win this election, but to build a national profile for 2028. By staying just close enough to Trump, he inherits the MAGA audience. By showing a cleaner, more calculated approach, he builds appeal among disillusioned Republicans. If Trump stumbles legally, politically, or mentally, Vance becomes the only logical next step. And that is what's making Trump nervous. Because for the first time, Trump may be looking at a vice president not as a backup, but as a future rival. JD Vance may have accepted the VP slot with a smile, but make no mistake, he's not here to play second fiddle forever. In fact, the very structure of this ticket might be more fragile than it appears. Trump thrives in chaos, that's how he controls the narrative. But Vance? He thrives in calculation. He doesn't interrupt, he absorbs. He doesn't lash out, he waits. And right now, that silence is strategic. Every rally where Trump forgets to mention him, every fundraiser where Trump cracks a joke at his expense, Those aren't defeats for Vance. They're fuel. Because when the chaos inevitably explodes, and let's be honest, it always does in Trump world, Vance is positioning himself as the only grown-up left standing. The one who kept his hands clean, kept his head down, and didn't pick unnecessary fights. That's not weakness, that's succession planning. Look closer, and you'll see how subtle that plan really is. Vance has made zero policy mistakes since joining the ticket. No viral gaffes, no off-message moments. And yet, his public appearances have become increasingly distinct. He's showing up in small-town town halls without Trump. He's sitting down with conservative influencers alone, not as a hype man, but as a leader. These aren't VP optics. They're trial runs for a presidential brand. While Trump rallies around loyalty, Vance is slowly offering the right a glimpse at life beyond Trumpism. It's not about replacing him today, it's about building a version of the movement that could actually last beyond Trump's legal risks, social media implosions, and unpredictable flameouts. And whether Trump likes it or not, many in the Republican establishment are already whispering that Vance might be their long-term bet. The irony is brutal. Trump picked Vance to solidify power, but he may have accidentally picked his successor, and Trump knows it. That's why he's keeping Vance at arm's length, just close enough to claim loyalty, but not close enough to let him shine. It's the same playbook he ran with Pence, right up until the 6th of January. But here's the catch. Vance isn't Pence. He's smarter, savvier, and far more connected to the new generation of right-wing media. He's not building his brand through CNN. He's building it on podcasts, Twitter, and viral clips. And while Trump's legacy is entangled in courtrooms, Vance is entrenching himself in the culture war battleground. By the time voters look up and wonder, what's next, he's already waiting with answers. Whether he's doing it with Trump's blessing or despite him, that's the real question. And that's where we are now. A movement built on loyalty is being tested by ambition. Trump's base still chants his name, but the man standing behind him may be calculating every chant as a countdown. Because when the moment finally comes, whether Trump stumbles, steps down, or simply self-destructs JD, Vance won't need to fight for control. He'll already have it. So, if you thought this was just another running mate, think again. This might be the most dangerous VP pick in modern history, not for the country, but for Trump himself. Subscribe now if you want more daily stories like this, the real power struggles they're not showing on television. And let me know in the comments. Is JD Vance the future of MAGA or its first fracture?